Hello and welcome to Small Business 21st Century, formerly Skills to Pay the Bills, and today's segment of Build Your Difference. My name is Pierre Walters and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Brand Desk, where we work directly with visionaries to help build successful businesses and memorable brands. You know, growing your business is tough. It's tough work, and often we get so bogged down in the day-to-day that we forget to look up and see what's possible. And without even knowing it, it's easy for all of us to become comfortable and complacent even in our growth. But the ability to take risks by stepping outside of your comfort zone is the primary way by which we grow. So today, we're going to talk about how to take that very first step. We'll start with a quick story. When Michelle was just starting her career, she had the opportunity to work with one of the top branding agencies in the world. She was fresh out of college and was working on a team of 5 people who were responsible for launching a new product for one of the world's largest companies. The project had a budget of over $100 million, and it was her job to come up with the name, the identity, and the packaging. It was an incredible opportunity, and she was terrified. Michelle would catch herself thinking, "I'm just a kid from Louisiana. I have no business being here." But she also knew that if she didn't step up and take this opportunity, that she would regret it for the rest of her life. So she took a deep breath and she went for it. And you know what? She knocked it out the park. I mean, the product was a huge success. She went on to have an incredible career because of the lessons that she learned on that project. So the moral of the story is that we all have moments in our lives where we are faced with a choice. Either stay comfortable or step out of our comfort zone and go for it. Now, it's not always easy and it's not always simple, but the rewards can be great. So how do you take that first step? Well, in an article by Cylon George on lifehack.org, we can discover 10 powerful ways to get out of our comfort zone. And the first is to become aware of what's outside your comfort zone. Now, this may seem obvious, but it's important to take inventory of the things that you want to do and the things that you're actually afraid of. So, what's outside of your comfort zone? Perhaps it's public speaking, perhaps it's networking, or maybe starting your own business. Maybe you're afraid of reaching or expanding yourself because you might fail, or you might not be good enough. Whatever it is, you got to become aware of it. Because once you've identified it, you can begin to take the steps to overcome it. This leads to the next step. Become clear about what you are aiming to overcome. What are your goals? What do you want to achieve? When you're clear about your goals, it becomes easier to take action. Think about Michelle from our story. Her goal was to launch a successful product. And once she became clear about that, she was able to take the necessary steps to make it happen. So if you're having trouble gaining clarity, start by making a list of your discomforts. Then ask yourself, what would happen or what would have to happen for you to feel comfortable with that particular thing? For example, if you're afraid of networking, what would you have to do or what would have to happen for you to feel comfortable at a networking event? See, once you've answered that question, you can begin to take action. Remember, the primary emotion that you're trying to overcome is fear. And now to overcome fear, we've got to get comfortable with discomfort. This means that we need to take small, incremental steps outside of our comfort zone. Maybe this means attending a networking event with just one other person, or maybe it means speaking to a group of 5 people instead of 20. Whatever it is, make sure that it's something that you can handle and handle comfortably, because the goal is to just get a little bit uncomfortable so that you can begin to build your confidence. As you take small steps outside of your comfort zone, you'll undoubtedly make mistakes, and that's okay. It's to be expected. The key is not to let your mistakes define you, because when you make a mistake, you take a step back, you assess what happened, and then you try again. Remember, you're in this for the long haul. This is a marathon, it's not a race. Remember Michelle? She was terrified of launching a new product, but she didn't let that stop her. She made a mistake, but she didn't give up. She tried again and again and again, and she was successful, and so can you. A great example of overcoming fear is entrepreneur Jia Jiang. He decided that he wanted to get over his fear of rejection, so he set out on a 100-day journey, 100 days of asking people ridiculous questions and ridiculous favors. He asked one stranger to borrow $100, and he even asked the police officer for a hug. I mean, was he successful? Was he always successful? No, he wasn't, of course not. But he didn't let that stop him. He kept going, and he eventually got to a point where he simply was no longer afraid of rejection at all. You can watch his TED Talk online. It is absolutely fascinating. Now, another example is entrepreneur Tim Ferriss. Oh my goodness, he's the best-selling author of the book, The 4-Hour Workweek. And in his book, he talks about how he overcame his fear of public speaking by taking small steps. You see, he started by speaking to a group of 5 people, and then he gradually worked his way up to larger groups. And now, well, now he's a successful public speaker. The bottom line is this: getting comfortable with discomfort is a gradual thing. It takes time, and it requires patience. One of the best ways to motivate yourself as you gradually expand is to see failure events as teaching events. Every time you fail, take a step back and ask yourself what you can learn from that experience. And by doing this, you'll gradually build your confidence, and eventually you'll be able to step out of your comfort zone with ease. Here are some questions that you gotta ask yourself the next time you've encountered a failure event. Question number 1, what can I learn from this experience? Question number 2, how can I use this experience to my advantage? Question number 3, what could I have done differently? Did you know that highly successful people fail many more times than they succeed? It's true. I mean, they don't just let their failures define them. Instead, they use their failures as a springboard for success. For example, Thomas Edison. He's quoted as saying, "I have not failed. I just found 1,000, actually 10,000 ways that a light bulb doesn't work." If you look at it this way, almost everything is a numbers game. And if you promise to learn at least one thing with each event, then you'll eventually fail your way to success. And that's an entrepreneur's mindset. Now, don't get too excited. Learning from failure doesn't mean it's okay to go out and be reckless. It's important to consider pacing yourself and moving slowly. After all, you don't want to get in over your head and find yourself feeling overwhelmed. No. What you want to do instead is you want to take baby steps. Let's say your goal is to become a full-time entrepreneur. Well, if you're currently working a full-time job, maybe that means you're going to start by being a freelancer, taking on some freelancing jobs on the side. Or if you're already freelancing, maybe you start by networking and meeting new people. Whatever your goal is, take small steps toward it instead of jumping in head first. And as you take those small steps, you're going to find that your confidence is going to grow and it's going to become even easier and easier to take risks. Now we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to discuss the secret to fueling a new vision for your life. Stay with us.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at casaforchildren.org.
With liberty and justice for all. Does that mean bunnies?
And puppies?
Every year, thousands of companion animals and billions of factory farm and lab animals are legally abused and killed. But this can be stopped. Tell Congress to support sensible, humane laws. Sign the Animal Bill of Rights now.
Don't forget the puppies.
Hi, I'm Josh Temple. You might have seen me on TV where I help folks turn their houses into dream homes. But forget construction. Parenting is the toughest job there is. So when you need help or advice, turn to the parenting experts at Boys Town.
Grandpa, look what I got. Let me see.
Oh, Dad, wait till you see the bike we got for Jake.
Hearing loss happens gradually with age, making it easy to ignore. Yet most older Americans aren't getting their hearing tested. Untreated hearing loss can keep your loved ones from enjoying what they cherish most.
Dad, can you hear me?
Don't let that happen. Speak up about hearing loss. You'll be glad you did.
Hello and welcome back to Small Business 21st Century, formerly Skills to Pay the Bills, and today's segment of Build Your Difference. My name is Pierre Walters, and in this episode, we're discussing how you can step out of your comfort zone and begin fueling a new vision for your life. Now, we've discussed failure and resilience and the small steps towards building confidence in our potential. But the biggest secret to getting comfortable with the discomfort of growth is staring you right in front of the face. You see, there's no better way to become comfortable with taking risks than by simply hanging out with other risk takers. There is no substitute for this step. You see, when you're around people who take risks, it starts to feel normal. And pretty soon you'll find yourself taking risks easily. You see, the key is that you want to hang around people who are taking healthy risks to expand their life in positive and productive ways. For example, you might want to connect with other entrepreneurs, or maybe artists or other creative types. These are the kinds of people who are constantly putting themselves out there and taking risks. And by doing so, they're also constantly expanding their comfort zones. Julian wanted to start a YouTube channel. Oh, but he was afraid. He was so afraid of failure. He was worried that people would make fun of him. He thought he wouldn't be good enough. He didn't know he could stick to YouTube's schedule. But you know what? He kept going. And he kept going, and he eventually found success. You see, it wasn't overnight, but he slowly built his confidence by taking small steps. And now Julian is a successful YouTuber with over 1 million subscribers. Deborah, oh man, Deborah was afraid of public speaking, but she didn't let that stop her. She started by taking small steps, and eventually she worked her way up to larger groups. Sure, she stumbled along the way. I mean, she never knew what she was going to experience, and maybe she wasn't always prepared, but you know what? She didn't give up. And now Deborah is a well-known public speaker who has spoken in front of thousands of people. You see, as we grow, we take risks, we fail, and sometimes we succeed. We need to learn to be honest with ourselves every step along that journey. It can be easy to make excuses or blame others when things don't go the way that we would have liked. But the truth is, if we want to be successful, we need to embrace responsibility for our failures. It's the only way that we can learn and grow from them. If you're anything like me, we're reward-oriented. That can be a surprisingly useful self-hack if you do it right. Identify how stepping out of your comfort zone will not only benefit you, but how you'll reward yourself along the way. For example, maybe you'll give yourself a nice dinner out after completing your first big networking event. Or maybe you'll buy yourself a new outfit after landing your first big client. Whatever it is, make sure it's something that you'll actually enjoy and look forward to. Give yourself a reason to have fun, relax, and enjoy the process. Because at the end of the day, that's what stepping out of your comfort zone is all about. Of course, to do that, we need to remember not to take ourselves too seriously. We're learning how to be, in many ways, a kid again, and that includes making mistakes. So go out there, take some risks, and have fun. Fall on your face a few times, but get back up and try again. You see, it's all part of the process, and that's the key. You want to enjoy the process of stepping outside of your safe boundaries and enjoy the person that you become as you learn that life is fuller than your old experience. Let the idea of your potential fuel you to become the best version of yourself. You'll be amazed at what you're capable of once you start taking risks and stepping out of your comfort zone. I love stepping out of my comfort zone. Every time I do, it feels like I'm breaking open my world and expanding my horizons. I remember when I left school to travel and perform as an actor. It was terrifying, but it was also one of the best decisions that I ever made. Not only did I learn so much about myself and the world around me, but I also had some of the most incredible experiences of my life. I failed at so many things, so many auditions. I blew it, but I also landed a few pretty cool roles. And through it all, I grew and expanded as a person. I even tried my hand at filmmaking and directing and started a few momentarily successful businesses and ventures, but I also failed miserably at a few other things. What I've learned is that it's all part of the journey. The key is to keep moving forward and to never give up on yourself. Persistence can be your superpower. And when you couple that with willingness to take risks, there's nothing that you can't achieve. For example, look at entrepreneur James Altucher. He was born into a wealthy family, but eventually he lost everything. He was struggling with depression and he even attempted suicide, but he didn't give up. He kept going and he kept taking risks. Now he's a successful entrepreneur. He's an author and a podcaster with over 1 million downloads every month. He says that the key to his success is that he's not afraid to fail. Is there anyone that you admire who has taken risks and stepped out of their own comfort zone? What did they achieve? And what can you learn from their example? When you're ready to take the plunge and to step out of your comfort zone, I want you to remember these things. You need to be honest with yourself. You also have to learn to embrace your failures. You gotta be persistent, and you also need to have fun and enjoy the process. And don't forget, let your potential fuel you to become the best version of yourself. You know, I recently searched for a few famous failures as I prepared for this talk, and I found a few stories that captivated me, like the story of Jack Andraka, who at 15 years old, just 15 years old, invented a new, more sensitive method for detecting pancreatic cancer. He was inspired to do this after a close family friend died of the disease. And he was told no over 300 times before he finally found a laboratory that would let him do his research. And now he has over 50 patents to his name. Or consider author J.K. Rowling. Now, you may know her. She's one of the world's most successful authors. But before she was famous, she was living in poverty on welfare with a baby and struggling to make ends meet. She was even rejected by 12 different publishers before finally finding one who would take a chance on her book. Or Elizabeth Blackwell, who was the first woman to graduate from medical school. But it wasn't easy for her. No. She was rejected by 29 out of 30 schools before finally being accepted. Did you know that Milton Hershey, the founder of the Hershey Chocolate Company, failed in business 6 different times before he finally found success? Did you know that he was born into a poor family and had very little formal education? He was fired from his first job as an apprentice. And why do you think that was? Because he was being lazy. Well, he went on to start 3 different candy companies, all of which failed. But he didn't give up. You see, after failing in business 6 times and accumulating a wealth of knowledge and experience, he finally found success when he founded the Lancaster Caramel Company. And he saw monumental results with his vision for milk chocolate and decided to found the Hershey Company, where he built a chocolate empire. Now, what do all of these stories have in common? It's that the people who achieved great things were not afraid to take risks, even in the face of failure. But not only that, these people were passionate about what they were doing. They had a vision for what they wanted to achieve, and they didn't let anything get in their way. Not merely because they were obsessively committed, but because they had fun building and taking risks in their element. They each had to step outside of their comfort zone to achieve their goals. And they did. They did it with persistence and a sense of humor. So today, as you go out into the world and you take risks, remember these things. Be honest with yourself. Embrace your failures. Be persistent. Have fun and enjoy the process. And let your potential fuel you to become the best version of yourself. You see, whatever is inside of you that is yearning to come out, go for it. Step out of your comfort zone and into your element. Surprise yourself as you expand your capacity and your potential. Get comfortable with showing up fully, making your presence known, and being unapologetic for doing things differently. If you pace yourself so that you don't burn out and you stay persistent, consistent, and young at heart, you never know what you might achieve, whether it be on purpose or by accident. So go out there, take some risks, and have some fun. The world is waiting for you. I'm Pierre Walters, And I want to thank you for joining me today on this segment of Build Your Difference. I hope that you found it helpful. And remember, if you have any questions or if you'd like to share your tips for stepping out of your comfort zone, please send me an email at info@pierrewalters.com. And until next time, remember to build your difference and make an intentional and positive impact in the world.